Exposed, the haunted secrets of the Bellamy Dynasty and their sinister cult of forbidden wealth. The air was thick with dread as Sarah Bellamy stepped inside the dilapidated mansion, its grandeur decaying like the remnants of forgotten dreams. Darkened hallways stretched eerily before her, shadows lurking just out of reach, as if the ghosts of her family's past were silently beckoning. The sudden death of her estranged father had pulled her back to this cursed estate, where whispers of a sinister cult clung to the very walls, where desperation and riches intertwined in a horrific dance that left not a soul untouched. "Mom, this place is creepy," Emma said, clinging to her side. Cold fingers of unease coursed through Sarah, tightening around her heart. Flickering lights overhead cast wild shadows that scrambled across peeling wallpaper, and a chilling gust blew through a cracked window, sending an unsettling shiver down her spine. She forced a smile for Emma, though inside she felt the familiar pang of panic. Was this the house that would finally break them? As they settled in, night fell like a heavy shroud. Sleep was elusive, and with it came a parade of terrors. Thumping noises echoed from the attic, twigs scratched against window panes like skeletal fingers, and the walls whispered secrets that sent a chill coursing through her veins. The unease clawed at her throat. She shoved a pillow over her head, desperate to drown out the lurking dread. Emma's breezy laughter from the porch with the neighbor Caleb sent icy tendrils of jealousy and fear through her heart. He was too charismatic, too knowledgeable about the Bellamy history. The rumors laden around their family were as thick as the fog that rolled through Maplewood. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. One night, a blood-curdling scream sliced through the air, sending Sarah bolting upright, heart racing. It came from Caleb's house. The world outside seemed frozen in time, with the weight of something terrible looming. Had they been drawn into an undertow of darkness? The thought coiled tightly around her mind. Local disappearances were sweeping through the community. A few neighbors exchanged nervous glances, each eyeing the other as if they were potential suspects in a charade of trust unraveling. The mood never lifted, but Sarah's investigation into the Bellamy family history turned up a family journal hidden beneath worn floorboards. Its pages, yellowed and fragile, whispered dark secrets of the past. The cult was real, and the price of forbidden wealth was horror beyond imagining. Was she destined to follow in those sinister footsteps? Time was slipping through her fingers, her once supportive neighbors now glancing sideways. And there was Emma, increasingly entranced by Caleb, drawn into the abyss of their lineage like a moth to flame. Panic surged. She unwrapped the journal once more, trembling hands tracing the faded ink, desperate to unearth the truth before it consumed them. Then another scream ripped through the night, sharper than the first, igniting full terror as Sarah clutched the journal like a lifeline. The storm outside raged, lightning illuminating the mansion's tortured frame. What lay hidden within the Bellamy bloodline was more monstrous than she'd ever feared. Would she unlock the secrets, or would they ensnare her daughter before she could save her? The answer lay deep in the shadows, waiting patiently. Sarah gripped the family journal, her heart pounding like a drum in the silence that followed the scream. It felt alive, pulsing as if it shared her fear, urging her to decipher its cryptic messages. The storm raged outside, winds howling like tortured souls, yet Sarah's focus remained locked on the mansion's shadows. Emma, the thought sliced through her like a knife. She couldn't allow her daughter to get caught in the madness. "Emma!" she yelled, voice raw with urgency. No response came, just the creeping sound of her own panic rising. Sarah stumbled toward the staircase, the old wood creaking ominously beneath her. Each step felt heavy, weighted by the chilling reminders of the Bellamy legacy. At the landing, she gasped. The attic door hung slightly ajar, revealing a sliver of darkness. The thumping that had kept her awake last night grew louder, a rhythmic pulsing that synced with her racing heart. Gathering strength, she pushed the door open, revealing the musty interior. Cobwebs spun a web of secrets, and in the dim light, something glinted metallic and dread-inducing. Flashes of lightning illuminated the space, revealing a stack of tarnished chalices, grotesque symbols etched into their surfaces. They looked like sinister relics, remnants of rituals long buried but not forgotten. A deep voice echoed in her mind, "You too can claim the Bellamy fortune, Mom." Emma's soft voice broke through the haze of Sarah's fear. Relief washed over her momentarily, but it was quickly eclipsed by dread. Where was she? "Emma!" Sarah shouted, panic tightening around her throat. "I'm upstairs." Emma's voice drifted down from the top floor. "Caleb and I found something you need to come see." "Stay there." Sarah shot back, her voice trembling. Every fiber of her being screamed to run towards her daughter, but dread nudged at her feet to explore the attic. What if she had to confront the secrets that lay within? She hesitated, torn. The allure of the chalices beckoned, the journal's promises heavy in the air. But the connection to Emma tugged harder. The raising storm outside and the eerie silence swallowed her resolve. "Emma!" She yelled again, rushing through the attic, disposing of the chalices like old memories. The room was littered with dust and decay, where nightmares seemed to thrive. Another blinding flash of lightning illuminated the room, and she froze. There, in the shadows, a figure stood. It was Caleb, his eyes piercing through the darkness, their light strangely hypnotic. "You should have come sooner," he whispered, his voice like silk over gravel. The weight of his words pressed against her. "Where's Emma?" She managed to croak out. "She's fine, Sarah. Just curious like you." He stepped closer, the shadows flickering around him as if alive. "We're all part of this now, whether we like it or not." A deep dread pooled in Sarah's stomach. "What did you do?" Caleb's smile was disarmingly charming yet predatory. "Nothing yet. But we have to finish what the Bellamys started. It's in her blood, you know. Get away from her." She screamed, spinning toward the attic door, her heart racing. But a sudden tremor shook the ground, throwing her off balance. The walls shuddered, dust raining down as the house groaned. "Stay!" Caleb barked, eyes narrowing as the air thickened with impending doom. "You're part of this legacy, Sarah. You need to embrace it." Cries echoed from below, but her pulse only quickened. Fear struck deep like ice, blending with the thunderstorm outside. Was there a way to save Emma without succumbing to whatever Caleb had planned? As the storm roared, the shadows closed in, wrapping around her like a haunting embrace. The Bellamy secret threatened to crush them, but could she find the strength to fight back? With Caleb's manic grin burning into her memory, she plunged back into the shadows, determined to confront whatever darkness awaited. What awaited her on the other side of that door, in the place where the Bellamy curse thrived, that was the real question. Would she break the chain, or would despair swallow them whole? The air crackled with tension as Sarah teetered at the threshold of the attic door. Her breaths came quick and shallow, and she felt the suffocating weight of something ancient push against her, urging her to retreat. But she couldn't allow fear to win. Not now. Emma needed her. "Emma!" She called again, her voice echoing painfully in the stillness. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown, a ticking clock forcing her forward even as instinct screamed at her to flee. She turned back toward Caleb, his figure now standing unnaturally still, like a poised predator in the gloom. "Don't play games with me!" she shouted, shaking. "What are you talking about? What is in her blood?" Caleb's grin widened, revealing teeth that appeared almost too sharp in the dim light. The shadows danced around him, whispering secrets she couldn't quite grasp. "The Bellamy bloodline carries a powerful legacy, dear Sarah. It speaks to the wealth that never fades and the power that binds. Your daughter is the key to what we've long sought." A sudden crash from below made her flinch, and her instinct to protect Emma surged. "Where is she?" Caleb gestured behind him, eyes glinting with something dangerous. You'll find her, but you must understand first. The chalices, they are vessels of our ancestors' power. The ritual, it requires a sacrifice, and Emma is essential. He took a step forward, and the shadows curled tighter around him. Sarah felt her resolve buckling under the weight of dread. You're insane. She spat, clutching the journal tighter as if it could shield her from reality. Step away from her. But Caleb only laughed, a chilling sound that filled the attic like dark smoke. You can't protect her from the truth, Sarah. It's time you embraced your legacy. With a sudden resolve, Sarah pushed past Caleb, her heart racing as she stormed down the stairs. The house shuddered, the walls groaning, almost alive. She nearly slipped on the dusty steps, but her desperation fueled her speed. She had to reach Emma, no matter the cost. Emma! She shouted, tearing down the hallway toward the noise. The cries were louder now, full of panic and fear. Shuddering doors rattled in their frames as if the house itself was trying to warn her. Then she reached the door at the end of the hall. It stood slightly ajar, golden light spilling out, casting long shadows that danced like wraiths. She hesitated, heart thundering in her chest. What if Caleb's words were true? What was waiting for her inside? Taking a deep breath, she flung the door open. The sight before her made her skin crawl. Emma stood in the center of the room, just inches away from an ornate altar covered in strange symbols, her eyes wide and terrified. Caleb stood behind her, a twisted look of triumph on his face. No! Sarah screamed, lunging forward, but the air felt thick and viscous. It was like running through water, each step an effort against the unseen force that threatened to tether her in place. Stop! Emma cried, her voice trembling as she turned to Sarah, eyes filled with confusion and fear. Mom, I don't want to. What is happening? Caleb chuckled softly, the sound dark and resonant. Let her choose, Sarah, like you were meant to do long ago. The cycle must continue. The Bellamy legacy rises anew. The storm outside surged, wind howling as thunder cracked with violent intensity. The shadows in the room seemed to pulse with life, stretching toward Emma as if desperate to claim her. Emma, come here. Sarah cried out, reaching for her daughter. But the air electrified with tension, and the room wavered as if reality itself was in flux. In that instant, Sarah felt the terrifying truth seep in. Could they escape? Would she have to face the darkness within her family to save Emma? As she struggled against the unseen force holding her back, Caleb's voice droned in her ears, you will embrace it, or you will be consumed. With desperation coursing through her veins, Sarah took a step back, ready to fight whatever demon awaited. But was it too late? As shadows closed in around them, she realized making a choice was no longer an option, it was a necessity. Yet uncertainty loomed, darker than any storm, leaving her to wonder would she triumph, or would the Bellamys claim another victim in their tangled web of secrets? The question hung in the air, heavy with dread, as the house prepared to reveal its greatest horror yet. The shadows writhed, blending into a fog of terror that wrapped around Sarah like a shroud. She could barely breathe, the weight of the altar's dark history pressing down on her. Emma stood frozen, caught between innocence and the sinister allure of her family's cursed legacy. The symbols on the altar glowed with an ominous light, pulsating like a heartbeat, echoing the rhythm of Sarah's own racing heart. Emma, please! Sarah shouted, panic clawing at her throat. She fought the invisible force that sought to bind her, struggling against the pull of the darkness. You have to run. We can't let him. The room spun, tilting precariously. The walls seemed to breathe, inhaling dread and exhaling despair. Caleb's laughter rang out, rich and menacing, each chuckle a dagger aimed at her resolve. Don't you see? He taunted, stepping closer to Emma, the light casting a macabre halo around him. She is destined for greatness. To reclaim what has been lost. To seize the wealth of the Bellamys. No. Sarah gasped, the word tearing from her lips with raw urgency. You'll destroy her. But Caleb only smiled, teeth bared in a grotesque display. Sacrifice is not destruction. It's ascendance. It's the legacy. Emma's expression shifted, confusion flickering as the symbol's glow intensified. Mom, I don't understand. What am I supposed to do? Her voice trembled, but there was a spark of something beneath the fear, curiosity, desire. Stay away from that altar. Sarah shouted, straining against the oppressive air as it thickened around her limbs, slowing her down. She was a moth drawn to the flame, but her one desire was to snatch her daughter from its grasp. Suddenly, Emma took a tentative step toward the altar, the ethereal symbols shimmering beneath her feet like living fire. But what if it's true? What if this is my destiny? Don't say that. Sarah screamed, panic erupting in her chest. She felt the walls close around her, the house groaned like a wounded beast, discordant and alive. Caleb watched, his eyes glinting with triumph as he leaned closer to Emma, whispering sweet nothings that hung heavy in the air. Suddenly, a deafening clap of thunder broke through the house, shaking the very foundations. A gust of wind howled through the room, sending papers fluttering like trapped birds. In that chaos, Emma stumbled back, eyes wide, caught in a tumult of fright and confusion. Mom, help me! She cried, but the shadows reached for her, drawing her closer to the altar. The symbols now swirled like a tempest over the surface, they seemed to call to Emma, their voices mingling with the storm outside. Fight it, Emma! Sarah shouted, desperation seeping into every word. You are stronger than this. Don't let them take you. But the dark entity was patient, willing to eat away at their hopes slowly, piece by piece. Caleb stepped back, waiting for the perfect moment, reveling in the twisted nature of this family feud. A heavy silence fell, as if the house were holding its breath. The wind outside screamed louder, echoing the tension inside. Then, like a match igniting in a dark room, Emma's eyes flickered between determination and fear. No, I won't let this happen. She cried, fighting against the pull of the altar. But as she did, the shadows responded, writhing as if enraged by her defiance, and Sarah felt a cold dread grip her heart. She took another step forward, her body fueled by the raw, visceral need to save her daughter. But could she tear the two apart in time? Or would her lineage return to claim its own, swallowing them both whole in a dance of dark power? With resolve setting her teeth, she shouted, You're not doing this alone, Emma. I'm right here. But Caleb's laughter echoed, drowning out her words, and with a sudden surge of energy, the altar glowed brighter, illuminating Emma's frightened face. Shadows began to close in around them. Had she waited too long? As the very fabric of the room trembled, Sarah's heart raced. This was only the beginning, and the Bellamy darkness would soon reveal its true form. Time was slipping away like sand through her fingers. Would their screams be lost in the night, or would they find a way to sever the bond binding them to the Bellamy curse? With a roar, the wind howled through the house, rattling the windows like 1,000 trapped souls. In that chaos, Sarah's heart pounded against her ribs, each beat a desperate plea. Her eyes locked on Emma, who stood at the precipice of the altar, hesitating as the symbols flickered with malignant energy. Emma, don't you feel it? Sarah cried, voice cracking. It's a lie. A trap. Caleb stepped forward, a predator circling its prey. His smile twisted her stomach. Ah, the desperation of a mother, he said, voice a silken thread laced with malice. But you can't save her. This is her awakening, her inheritance. The shadows swirled hungrily, licking at Emma's ankles like flames. But there was a flicker in Emma's eyes, a struggle raging within. Mom, I'm scared. She shouted, voice trembling. In that moment, Sarah saw it, the girl she raised, caught between the legacy and the darkness. You don't have to do this. We can break free, together. She shouted, fists clenched, forcing herself forward. The symbols pulsated violently, lighting up the room with an eerie glow. Tremors racked the very walls as if the house resisted the ancient pull toward the altar. The air grew thick, suffocating. Sarah felt slippery fingers of darkness wrap around her mind, trying to sap away her will, but she pushed back, drawing from a deep well of love for her daughter. "Emma!" she cried, voice fierce and raw. "Remember who you are. This isn't your fate." The shadows hissed like a chorus of serpents, forming a veil between Sarah and Emma. The altar surged with power, the glowing symbols intensifying, and the air crackled as if heavy rain were about to descend. "Your mother's fear is strong, Emma," Caleb whispered, his voice oozing with sweet poison. "But so is your desire. Don't you want to know what lies beyond? The power that awaits?" Emma's face twisted with indecision, burdened under the weight of Caleb's words. "But what if he is right? What if I really am no? Don't listen to him." Sarah's voice pierced through the clamor, chasing the shadows away for just a heartbeat. "Your life is more than this curse. You are not bound to the Bellamy legacy." Caleb's laughter turned manic, a thunderous echo that sent shards of ice racing down Sarah's spine. "Soon, Emma will embrace her destiny. We will awaken the true power of the Bellamys." Just then, a blast of wind broke through, as if the house itself was revolting against its dark past. Suddenly, one of the symbols cracked, sending an arc of blinding light surging through the room. Emma reeled back, shielding her eyes as the shadows hissed. "Mom, I can't!" With a primal scream, Sarah surged forward, fueled by a terrifying blend of love and fear. She felt the weight of generations pressing in on her, the very essence of the Bellamy curse battling against the fierce bond of a mother. As she reached Emma, the tension reached an unbearable crescendo, a taut string ready to snap. "Trust me!" Sarah yelled, grasping Emma's hands. "Together, we can break this." In that moment, as they touched, an explosion of light erupted, unfurling like blossoming petals, bursting through the darkness. The shadows shrieked, recoiling as if scalded by fire. Yet Caleb's voice thundered through the chaos, "You think you can escape your legacy? You underestimate what flows within you." As the light spread, illuminating the once dark corners of the room, a new horror revealed itself. The altar trembled violently, sending shards of wood splintering into the air. The whispers grew louder, an unholy symphony hitting a fever pitch, and then a figure emerged from the altar's heart, cloaked in shadows, with eyes that glowed like dying embers. "Release your bond and claim your fate," it hissed, voice chilling as it reached towards them. Time seemed to lull for just one terrible breath. Would they succumb to the dark pull of their family's curse, or could they wrest control from the entity that sought to claim them? The moment stretched thin. What would happen next? The light from the altar surged, bathing the room in an otherworldly glow. Shadows shrieked, twisting up toward the ceiling as if seeking an escape. Sarah's heart raced, each beat harmonizing with the chaos around them. The figure emerged fully, towering and languorous, a collection of agony draped in darkness. Its breath wheezed out, harsh and ragged, resonating in the hollow space. "Your mere existence is a curse," it hissed, voice reverberating with power. "All you are will fade, and we shall reclaim what is rightfully ours." Aggression mixed with fear coursed through Sarah. "No. You have no power here," she screamed, squeezing Emma's hand tighter, grounding herself in that connection, but Emma's expression twisted, doubt swirling in her wide eyes. "Mom, I feel it pulling at me," she confessed, fear making her voice tremble. "That's a trick. You're stronger than it." Sarah gasped, desperation climbing her throat like a vine. "Fight it, Emma." Caleb stood back, a cruel smile curled on his lips as he watched the struggle. "Let her succumb, Sarah. This is her destiny. You're just delaying the inevitable." In that moment, Sarah felt the pressure of multiple generations pressing down on her, each Bellamy who had faced darkness, too scared to defy fate. But not this time. She could sense the power thrumming beneath her feet, pulsating in rhythm with her resolve. "Emma, remember the stories I told you, the ones where love always triumphs? This darkness is a lie." Sarah shouted, willing her words to be a lifeline, a rope that Emma could grab onto. The entity's eyes glowed brighter, the dim light of Emma's spirit flickering beneath its weight. You think your love can save her? It is a curse, like the rest of you. It howled, the floor shaking violently as it lunged forward, a leap of raw darkness aimed at Sarah. With a wild scream, Sarah shoved Emma backward just as the shadowy figure descended toward her. The light erupted in a blinding flash, igniting the shadows like fireworks. The walls trembled but held fast. Sarah felt the heat of the light envelop her, a momentary haven she desperately clutched at. For an instant, she saw the struggle illuminated in Emma's eyes. They shared a moment of clarity, and Sarah willed her heart to send a cascade of love through the frigid air. Fight it. You are not alone, Emma. I'm here. But Caleb's laughter echoed in the air, jarring and warped, drowning out any hope. Oh, but it's already unraveling, he taunted, gesturing to the dark tendrils that snaked around Emma's legs like serpents, binding her to her fate. The shadows curled closer, and for a chilling second, Emma faltered. Her gaze flickered between her mother and the dark creature. Mom, she whimpered, the terror evident in her voice. Sarah felt a deep sense of loss creeping in. The realization washed over her. No. You can choose. She cried out, her voice strained with emotion. The altar groaned, the amorphous figure looming closer, and in a moment of pure instinct, Sarah lunged forward, her body propelled by love and fear. The entity's cold hands brushed against her, and right then, time snapped back like a taut string. Together. Sarah screamed as she reached out, desperately connecting with Emma once again, every fiber of her being devoted to breaking the curse. Light erupted, but this time it was not just a flicker, it was a blaze, threatening to consume everything, fighting against the encroaching darkness. Yet through the incandescent brilliance, whispers echoed, voices that clawed at sanity, promising salvation if they simply surrendered. Join us, Emma, the voices cooed, smooth as silk wrapped around the heart. Free yourself, the figure pressed forward, seeking to devour their light. Emma's hands trembled as she glanced at Sarah, conflicted. The room shook, plates fell from shelves, and the echoes of history roared like a storm. Just then, a crack split in the altar's stone, a deep rumble teasing the wall's stability, hinting at a truth that threatened to expose everything. What will it be, Emma? Caleb's voice slithered, urging like poison. Do you stay with your mother in this futile struggle? Or do you embrace the power that is yours? The moment hung, suffocating, charged with potential. The question loomed ominously in the air: would they stand against the darkness together, or would they be swallowed whole? No, Sarah breathed, her heart heavy with fear and hope. You have to make your choice, and as the light flickered ominously, the shadows swirled, creeping ever closer. What awaited behind Emma's choice? Would salvation be found in unity, or would they face an eternity of despair? The light blazed wildly, illuminating the room as chaos reigned. Shadows writhed with a malevolent glee, and the air thickened, heavy with despair. Emma's eyes bore the weight of her uncertainty. The whispers wrapped around her, a seductive embrace filled with promises of power and freedom. Tendrils of darkness continued to snake around her, squeezing tight like a vice. Sarah felt an invisible grip on her throat, choking her words. Emma! She cried, desperation lacing her voice. You're stronger than this. You were always meant to be. But Emma's inner conflict twisted her features into a mask of terror and desire. The figure loomed closer, and with each pulse of its presence, the shadows at Emma's feet slithered further upward, curling around her waist like a shroud. She could feel the entity's cold breath against her skin, promising to lift her above the mundane in exchange for her soul. Why should I fight it? Emma whispered, her voice barely a tremor. What if this is what I want? What if I choose power over this fear? No. Sarah's heart struck like a drum in her chest. She reached out, but the distance felt insurmountable. Don't listen to it. You're not just a Bellamy, this darkness doesn't own you. Caleb's laughter echoed through the hall, sharp and mocking. Look at you, Sarah. Like an old shoe fighting the river current. Let her go. This is her moment. The malevolence coiling around Emma seemed to surge at Caleb's words, strengthening, feeding off her indecision. Sarah felt the walls vibrate around her, resonating with the entity's hunger. She flitted her gaze back to Emma, forcing every ounce of love she had into her voice. We are Bellamy's, yes. But we have the choice to break free. We fight for love, not power. Remember how we laughed, how we stood together. The world has never dimmed that light. As Sarah's words flowed, a flicker ignited in Emma's gaze, a moment of clarity. The shadows hesitated, grasping at their prey but faltering against the glow of shared memories. Emma took a shaky breath, emotions playing across her features, but the entity snarled, a rumbling growl that shook the very foundation of the altar. You dare oppose your destiny? It spat. You are merely dust. A speck within my grain. The blinding light pulsed as the shadows howled, their hunger growing insatiable. Sarah felt an icy finger trace along her spine, fear clawing its way up her throat. They needed more than hope, they needed strength. Fight, Emma. Embrace the love I showed you. Plead for the choice you deserve. Sarah urged, each word a prayer. Suddenly, the altar cracked further, a widening fissure spiraling down its surface like a dying heartbeat. This darkness breathed, hungry for Jason's soul they could not see. Emma brought her hands to her heart, trembling as she faced the storm of shadows. I don't know if I can. Together. Sarah screamed, her voice raw, a desperate thread pulling between them. The shadows twitched with hesitation, sensing a weakness. Sarah's heart quickened, daring to hope. Remember the tales. Love always triumphs. In these moments, it is the binding force. Just as the unbearable silence fell, a glimmer caught Emma's eye. The cracked altar began to shimmer, revealing a glimpse of something buried deep, something long forgotten. The light pulsed, and the whispers of the past beckoned like ghosts in the wind. Caleb stilled, his mocking grin fading into uncertainty. What if this truth holds more horror than you're ready for? He hissed, eyes wide with realization. The ground rumbled, a deep, bone-chilling roar that threatened to fracture reality itself. Shadows coiled tighter around Emma, their whispers now frantic, clawing at her mind. Will you choose the light, or seek solace in the shadows? The entity purred. What waits beneath your choice could unravel your being. As the battle raged on, Sarah felt a pulse beneath her feet, a truth buried in the Bellamy lineage. What lay beneath the altar? What did the shadows hide? The anticipation hung in the air as the moment stretched like a taut string, threatening to snap. Would Emma sever the ties that bound them in darkness, or would they plunge into the shadows where all secrets linger, waiting to be unleashed? The cracked altar throbbed, pulsating with a life of its own. Each heartbeat echoed in Emma's ears, drowning her in a swell of confusion and dread. The shadows hissed like serpents, tightening their grip, their whispers now anguished cries, urging her to surrender. Fear clawed at her sides, pricking her skin like needling pins. Emma. Sarah's voice cracked, desperation lacing each syllable. The light is there. Reach for it. But the figure before Emma shifted, its eyes molten pools of darkness. Your sister knows nothing of your true potential, Emma. Cast aside her feeble words. Embrace your destiny with open arms. In that moment, reality felt like a fragile illusion twisting, distorting as if the very air around them was alive. Emma felt the warmth of love pull against the chill of despair. Memories flooded back, moments filled with laughter, safety, and strength shared with Sarah. But they felt distant now, like a fading echo. With a sudden jolt, the altar fractured again, shards of stone splintering outward like arrows. The walls shivered in response, the malevolent force seemingly feeding off their terror. How much more could they endure? Fight it, Emma. Sarah urged, voice trembling with urgency. We are stronger together. We cannot lose. Emma's breath hitched as she closed her eyes, longing for clarity amidst the chaos. A gut-wrenching choice loomed ahead of her, the lure of darkness clashing violently with the flicker of light. But what if the truth hidden beneath the altar was more horrifying than she could fathom? What if it could obliterate everything they knew? "Look at me, Emma," Sarah cried, tears streaking down her face. "You are not just Bellamy blood. Take back your power. It's your choice." In that fleeting moment, doubt flickered inside Emma. Her hands trembled as if they were tethered to two opposing forces, light and dark twisting, colliding. The shadows lurked just beyond, ready to consume her should she yield. "Power," Emma murmured, eyes vacant. "Or love? What if I choose what I fear?" The entity snarled, its grip almost suffocating. "You will regret this hesitation. Your true potential awaits." With a sudden determination, Emma's eyes snapped open. "No!" she screamed, defiance spilling from her lips like a cathartic release. "I want to let you take me." In that moment, the light erupted like a star bursting into existence. It illuminated every corner of the room, igniting the shadows. They shrieked, recoiling as Emma's newfound bravery ignited something deep within the altar. "What is this?" The entity growled, its composed facade crumbling into a snarl of fury. "It can't be." The ground shook violently, splintering bricks and dust filling the air. Emma stumbled back but held her ground, even as shadows writhed around her like unleashed beasts. Sarah stepped closer, her voice an anchor. "That's it, Emma. Feed the light with your strength." But as the brilliance deepened, Emma felt a chilling shift ripple through the space. Hushed whispers coiled around her like smoke. "The truth will destroy you. The truth will enslave you." The cracks in the altar pulsed louder, revealing a shimmering object buried deep within. A dark history waited to unfold, secrets that twisted the very fabric of their family lineage. "Do not seek the truth," Caleb hissed, his bravado evaporating into fear. "This is a perilous path." The shadows swirled, threatening to swallow them all. Just when hope flickered like a flame ready to extinguish, Sarah's hand reached for Emma's, fingers interlocking. Their connection solidified, a lifeline in the swirling storm, but the ground quaked even harder. Together, they breathed as the altar glowed brighter, demanding a choice: the light, or the darkness that promised forbidden knowledge. Would they unearth the sins buried within their bloodline, or would they succumb to the shadows that yearned to reclaim their souls? Emma's heart raced as the specter of truth loomed near, pulsing against the fragile boundary of light and darkness, ready to unleash. What horrors lay unearthing, waiting to consume them as they chose their fate? The light exploded from the altar, a radiant shockwave that pushed the shadows back, sending them shrieking into the corners of the chamber. Emma staggered, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she struggled to understand what this power truly meant. "Can you feel it?" Sarah's voice trembled, both excited and terrified. "It's real. The light is real." But Emma couldn't shake the cold fingers of dread that clung to her spine. "But what happens if we look? What if the truth taints everything? Just hold on," Sarah shouted, her grip tightening on Emma's hand. Their fingers intertwined like two lifelines amidst the chaos. The glow of the altar intensified, revealing the truth that twisted deep within the stone. "Look!" Caleb shouted, pointing a trembling finger. A key-like object, dazzling and dark, began to rise from the altar, cloaked in a mix of shadow and light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, a rhythm syncing with the tremors of the earth, resonating through their bones. "No!" the entity growled, its voice a mix of anger and fear. "You will not disturb what must remain buried." The ground cracked further, fissures snaking across the floor, a tangible manifestation of the fury unleashed by their defiance. The whispers grew louder within Emma's mind. "Knowledge is a curse." The object hovered closer to Emma, a deep, haunting song pulling at her consciousness, tugging her closer with promises of insight and power. It called to her, offering answers to questions she had only begun to ask. But at what cost? Don't let it. Fight it. Sarah's desperation heightened as the shadows recoiled, but not without passing their words, their tainted thoughts, into Emma's ear. They are weak. This is your dominion now. The altar flashed violently, illuminating their surroundings in stark, ethereal light. The walls breathed shadows, exhaling a scent of rot and despair as if the very structure of their confinement approached collapse. Emma's vision blurred, caught between swirling shadows that beckoned and the fierce light that burned away the fear. "Embrace it," the entity hissed. "You are a Bellamy. Your bloodline thirsts for knowledge." Emma's heart trembled. She felt the dark promise pulse through her veins, mixing with her own fear. "No, I'm not like you," she shouted, but her own voice felt distant, muffled against the weight of the altar's gravity. All at once, the spectral light flickered. "We seek truth. We seek truth." The echo bounced off the walls, a chorus of dissent. Emma felt a surge of defiance rise, tethered by Sarah's unyielding strength, yet fear etched deep lines in her brow. For knowledge or madness? Emma wondered aloud, glancing nervously at Sarah. "Knowledge, but keep the love in your heart," Sarah urged, eyes wide with urgency. "It's our choice to make." And then, just as Emma steeled herself to grab the key, she saw movement in the shadows. A figure darted toward them, its form unmistakable. Their mother, pale and worn, her eyes revealing a riot of sorrow and rage. "Emma!" she cried, voice cracking as she reached. "Get away from it. Don't touch it, don't trust it, Mom." Emma faltered, taken back by the sight. "Are you? Leave. It's not what it seems. The Bellamys were cursed for a reason," she shouted, urgency pouring from her. "The truth was too heavy for us. You don't want this. You don't understand what you're unleashing." The shadows writhed violently, the whispers now a cacophony of screams. The tension became unbearable, like a taut wire ready to snap. "Go. Now!" their mother cried, stretching out her hand as if trying to shield them from the truth. But the key, the object of their fate, pulsed fiercely, ready to be claimed. Emma's heart pounded. The shadows danced like flames, and her mother's anguished eyes burned with the weight of hidden horrors. What choice could they possibly make when darkness lay entangled within their own flesh? As the altar shook once more, Emma felt the world tilt beneath her, the balance of fate shifting precariously. Would she choose the dark allure of knowledge, or would she heed her mother's desperate warning? And with that question hanging in the air, the light dimmed suddenly, swallowing the room in encroaching shadows. Emma felt her mother's presence, and it lit a fire deep within her. "Mom!" she shouted, tears streaming down her face. "I want to believe you." But the darkness swirled menacingly, gnawing at her resolve. The shadows hissed, voices twisting into a chorus of despair. "Foolish child! You were born to embrace power. Stop!" Sarah cried, desperate to reach her daughter. "Emma! Don't let them in." The ground split beneath them, shaking with fury as if the very house rejected their presence. Emma's heart raced, caught in the tempest of legacy and fear. The altar shimmered with both light and dark, whispering promises she was tempted to hear. It pulsated, wrapped around her like a warm blanket, seducing her as shadows tightened their grip, pulling her deeper. "Emma, listen." Her mother's voice echoed, cutting through the disarray. "We can rewrite our story. The Bellamy curse doesn't have to be our end." With every syllable, Emma felt her mother's love wrap around her, strong and resolute. But the entity clawing at her mind insisted otherwise. "You are Bellamy. You possess the birthright. You will not escape." "No!" Emma yelled, clenching her fists. The entity surged, casting waves of darkness around her, cloaking her in doubt. But just as despair threatened to drag her under, she caught a glimpse of her mother, unwavering. "I am my own person," Emma shouted, heart thumping against her ribs. "I am not a shadow. I will not be defined by a legacy of darkness." Those words radiated, igniting a spark between them. Sarah met her gaze, hope shining like a beacon amidst the chaos. Yes, Emma. You are stronger than this. Love is the light that will guide us. Suddenly, everything shifted. The altar trembled, the shadows recoiling from Emma's fierce declaration. The whispers turned into frustrated screams, tearing at the fabric of their twisted legacy. In that raw moment, Emma understood not only did she carry the weight of her family's past, but she also held the power to break free from it. Together. Sarah urged, reaching out to Emma. Don't look back. Summoning every ounce of courage, Emma stepped forward into the pulsating light. It was blinding, wrapping around her like the soft embrace of dawn breaking through the night. The shadows shrieked, the evil entity's grip loosening as the light grew. No. Caleb bellowed, his voice laced with pure rage. But the altar cracked wide open, spilling secrets and darkness into oblivion. A blinding explosion erupted, and with it, the legacy of oppression shattered. Mom! Now! Emma shouted, grasping Sarah's hand tightly. They surged together, love radiating between them, a force unlike anything they had ever known. The memories of laughter, warmth, and joy filled the air, overwhelming the darkness that sought to consume them. As the last tendrils of shadows shrieked in anguish, the room exploded in light. The air shimmered, enveloping them in warmth, drowning out the echo of the Bellamy curse. And then, in a moment suspended in time, the light exploded into a billion stars, illuminating their path away from darkness forever. Finally emerging from the chaos, Sarah and Emma tumbled into the sunlight, collapsing in an embrace on the front porch. The haunting weight of the Bellamy legacy fell away like a fading dream, replaced by a newfound sense of freedom. We did it, Emma whispered, heart still racing, glancing around to see the mansion crumbling, shadows evaporating into the crisp air. Yes, we did, Sarah breathed out, her voice thick with tears of relief. You chose the light. As they stepped into a new chapter, a gentle breeze wrapped around them, carrying the scent of possibility. They had escaped the haunted grip of their lineage, rewriting the story of the Bellamys together, bound not by shadows but by love. Tears of joy glimmered in their eyes as they walked away from the remnants of their home, leaving its history behind. They had taken the first steps into a brighter future, one that pulsed with life and endless potential. It was time to build a new legacy, a legacy where choices were made, not dictated by the sins of the past, and where love reigns supreme. Now, this incredible journey draws to a close, but it's not the end of our adventure. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will captivate your heart and mind. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm and keep the love flowing. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. Let's hear what you think, and before you go, wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heart-pounding journey unfold. Your support matters.